Oh, I'm sorry, were you waiting on me? Readers, if you've been watching me for any significant amount of time, then you know that Batman is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. And if you're just now finding me, or if this is your first video of mine, then hi, my name is Laron, and Batman is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. And no, it's not because I'm a fan of capitalism, I just think he's pretty neat. Now, while I've done plenty of Batman-related videos on this channel in the past, explaining how I developed my love and appreciation for the character, there are a few that I realize I haven't really had a chance to talk about in great detail. And one of the ones I haven't made yet was sharing with you all a handful of my all-time favorite members of his villainous rogues gallery. Now, I know and acknowledge that Batman isn't the originator of the term rogues gallery. That's all Flash. However, part of the reason a lot of people like to use the term when it comes to either Batman or even Spider-Man over on Marvel's side of his villains is because there's such a wide and colorful array of them that's growing every second. Plus, once CW's Flash starts properly respecting his rogues gallery, then I will as well. So with that being said, I'd like to share with you all my top 5 favorite members of Batman's rogues gallery. Number 5, Joker. Listen, I know, alright? I know. First of all, yes, it's very popular to hate on him right now. And that's mostly due to a certain director who wanted to blend 2 of his favorite Scorsese films together and complain about how people can't say or do whatever they want anymore while disguising it in an out-of-touch, eat-the-rich social commentary. However, I'm just not gonna sit here and lie and say that I no longer enjoy him as a villain in a Batman story, especially if a writer understands how fluid and moldable the Joker can be depending on the story. Take Grant Morrison, for example. They really know what it takes to grow and evolve his character. And while I definitely have my favorite iterations of the Joker, be it animation, live action, video games, and comics, he's so low on my list because he's overused? There is such an oversaturation of Batman stories featuring Joker as the villain across multiple mediums now, enough to fill an Olympic-sized pool, and I am fucking drowning. And because there's so many, there's no guarantee that most of them are going to be any good. Sure, you luck out with your Scott Snyders, your Grant Morrisons, and even your Frank Millers when he remembers to take his meds. But y'all, he doesn't have to be in every story. Like, give one of Bats's other legacy villains a chance in the spotlight. Let's see better Penguin and Riddler stories. That's partially why I'm excited to see what Matt Reeves' The Batman is going to have in store for us. Number 4, the Phantasm. Y'all, Andrea Beaumont from Mask of the Phantasm is... yes. I love her drive, I love her motivation. I love that she's one of the only people who knows Batman's true identity and can easily put him in his place.
You still following your dad's orders?
The way I see it, the only one in this room controlled by his parents is you.
But part of what makes her and the Phantasm persona one of my favorite villains of Batman's is how well she plays the double-edged sword when it comes to Bruce and Batman separately. Not only was she so good at her job as Phantasm that she was able to successfully make half of Gotham believe that Batman was finally offing the mob to the point of police manhunts, But the romance between Bruce and Andrea is so believable and heartbreaking that even though she's not officially canon in DC's Earth 1 timeline in the comic books, she is one of Bruce's only love interests I've seen that I believe can truly challenge Bruce and Selina as the OTP ship. No, I don't consider Bruce and Talia an OTP ship. That's what happens when you stick your dick in crazy. Now, with that being said, I hate that Phantasm is so low on this list, because she was originally going to be my number 3 pick. But after really thinking about it, I like my number 3 pick a bit more than Phantasm. So who's my number 3, you might ask? Temple Fugit, aka the Clock King. The Clock King episode of Batman the Animated Series is the living embodiment of what happens when a motherfucker has the time. Literally! Now, I plan on dedicating an entire video on why the Clock King episode is so important to me and why I hold his iteration of the character in such high regard, so I can't really get into that much detail here. Just know that the reason why Temple is so high on this list is because he was my Intro to Petty 101 instructor, and I am so thankful I took his course. Number 2. Thomas Elliot, aka Hush. I'm not gonna lie, part of what made me like Hush is that he used to be Bruce's best friend. And I'm personally a sucker for villains of superheroes who started off as good to close to best friends with the superhero's alter ego. That's initially why I enjoyed the animated series' depiction of Two-Face so much as a kid. They changed his origin so that he and Bruce were good friends to tack on to the tragedy when he eventually became Two-Face. Same with when they turned Ethan Bennett into the first Clayface in the Batman. So to finally have a villain that was actually Bruce's best friend growing up become one of his most dangerous villains, even if he's mostly motivated by envy and covetousness, was incredibly refreshing for me to see. And it was even double important to me because the initial story that introduced Hush into the Batman mythos was what helped me start reading mainstream comics as they were released, and not like 10-plus-year-old stories that I choose from the Batman long box section of my local comic book shop. I just wish that the initial story wasn't written by a now outed racist thanks to how he treated the Asian talent on the set of Iron Fist. And that how they changed his character around in the animated movie didn't make me want to punch a baby in the face. But thankfully, others have written Hush stories that, in my opinion, are just as good as his intro one. Speaking of which, if you're looking for a good one to read and you also believe in Bruce x Selina superiority, Heart of Hush by Paul Dini is amazing. So that only leaves my number 1 spot, which I have to give it to Ra's al Ghul. I just have to give it to Ra's al Ghul. And I'm talking about Ra's al Ghul, who runs the League of Assassins, not Ra's al Ghul, who runs the League of Shadows. That's his whitewashed cousin. Those who know me well enough know that I'm a sucker for international, sometimes interdimensional, S-tier level villains. Like villains who were and are initially part of a specific hero's rogues gallery, but are also capable of whipping up the most diabolical ass schemes that multiple heroes from the same universe said hero resides in has to team up to take them down. So that also means that, yes, on Marvel's side, Doctor Doom is one of my favorite villains as well. Basically, with the exception of Thanos, I made an entire hour-long video with my friends as to why, if they're always depicted to be seated in a chair or a throne, and they're in that gangsta lean pose that gives off heavy, can't nobody tell me nothing vibes, I probably have mad respect for them. Raish definitely gave off that energy when he was introduced to me in Batman the Animated Series, especially because he was voiced by David Warner. That's the voice that pops in my head whenever I read a comic with him as the main villain. And then there's Grant Morrison's The Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, and it's just so good, it's so good! Ra's al Ghul is basically a Bond villain that leans into the supernatural aspect of things, and is legit one of the few members of Batman's rogues gallery that gives him a run for his money every time. Every goddamn time. Every goddamn motherfucking time. Now, keep in mind, readers, these are my favorite members of Batman's rogues gallery, not the definitive top 5. They are also not your top 5 favorite Bat villains, so don't curse me out for not choosing or ranking the ones that you like. If anything, if you really want to say how much you disagree with my list, or even share your own, then just do the homework assignment. Just save it for the homework assignment. What are you doing? Oh, right, which reminds me. So with that being said, readers, your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comment section below who makes it to your top 5 favorite Batman villains list. Or if you feel like sharing with the rest of the class, who else among allies or villains you want to hear my top 5 favorites of surrounding any specific hero in DC or Marvel comics. Trust me, I have a few to share. Whichever question you decide to answer, I love to know your thoughts. If you want to help financially support the channel, you can join my Patreon by clicking the card at the end of the video or in the link in the description down below, where you can also find a link to my merchandise store. Or if you prefer to give a one-time donation, you can find links to my PayPal and my Ko-fi account in the description box as well. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and every other Friday. But until then, this is Readus 101. Class dismissed.